Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here with my good friend, fellow author, Tracey Baptiste. Tracey, say hi.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Hi, Kwame.
Hey, we are here to talk Freedom Fire books and Moko Magic. With star author Tracey. Just first, we really thank you for joining us for this conversation. Um, and I feel like it's really important just to really briefly mention who Freedom Fire is. It is a imprint with Disney Books that is led by moi. However, headlining star author talent like the wonderful lady to my right, left on your screen. Um, and it's celebrating and elevating stories by Black authors from across the diaspora, pushing Black joy, resilience, wonder, and adventure. And I don't know if there is a book that embodies those tenets more than Moko Magic. The fun I had reading this, uh, I was literally, I don't kick my heels. Enjoy, you know the thing where you're reading something, you're like, I don't do that. But if I did do that, if there were cameras who were witnessing me, maybe that might have happened as I was reading Moko Magic. So, Tracey, can you um can you pitch us the book? I am, as my immaturity clearly shows, pretend I am a 10, an 11, a 12-year-old kid. Why should I read Moko Magic?
Okay. So, Moko Magic is about three cousins who discover that they have these magical powers. And they discover them just before the Caribbean Day Parade on Eastern Parkway. So, everybody's getting ready for the Caribbean Day Parade. There's steel pan, there's music, there's there's like drumming in the streets. There's all kinds of festival stuff, like people are getting ready for Carnival. There's costume fittings. There's parties all over the place. So everybody's super excited, getting ready for this, and then these kids discover they have these powers. But it turns out that these powers really only show up when trouble is coming. And so now they discover that they got to figure out what the trouble is and where it's coming from. Because all of a sudden, people who have these sort of magical powers that they have inherited over the years, over like many generations, are finding that their magic has started to get sucked away. It's starting to get stripped away. People are like passing out and winding up in the hospital and don't have their powers anymore. And nobody knows what's happening. And these three cousins, because they are the Mokos, they are the healers, they've got to figure it out. They got to stop whoever it is, and they got to do it before Carnival, because Carnival Day is when everybody comes out and all their magical powers are on display. And so it's when they are the most vulnerable. And every time that some big festival, some big pre-carnival event happening, more and more people are getting injured. And these three cousins gotta figure it out, and they gotta do it quick. The whole thing happens in the course of 1 week. So not a lot of time.
That's that is awesome. And as a this question occurred to me as you were speaking, as both kind of someone who could lead an activity with a group of kids. So librarians out there, teachers out there, educators, tell me what you think of this. And then also as a kid who, love the would you rather questions and things like that. Um, I'm wondering, like, you're telling me that my magic only shows up when trouble is about to happen, right? And that's like the worst alarm clock ever. Like you imagine you're sitting there eating your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? And then your magic just shows up. You just took a huge bite of your sandwich, and your magic just shows up, and now you're gonna be like, you just gotta figure out what's happening. That's amazing. So I would love like educators like activities like all right, what sort of trouble, what are your powers, and what sort of trouble would you be best suited to take
Right.
on, and
Yeah.
and what's worse? Like you're getting
What's
ready to
worse?
you're getting ready to brush your teeth. You got your pajamas on at night, and then trouble happens, right? Or you overslept. You wake up, you got crust in your eye, and you didn't brush your teeth, and trouble happens.
Yep.
Magic happens. So that's absolutely amazing. What what is it like writing your heroes in this book, a trio of cousins, family, who have their own, these aren't like three heroes tossed together, this isn't three schoolmates or three classmates, or three neighborhood kids. These are three cousins who've known each other, because they're family. What is it like writing that dynamic? What is their dynamic like as cousins and heroes of this book?
I mean, you know what cousins are like.
I do know what cousins is like, and I'm both hoping and not hoping that they're like this in the book. Having read it and not giving any spoilers, I'm hoping they're like my cousins, and I'm hoping they're also not like me and my cousins.
They are exactly like you and your cousin.
Oh, y'all are in
So
trouble.
that's a lot. Yeah. So there's a lot of trouble between them because of that family dynamic, right?
Hmm.
They each of them happen to be only children,
Hmm.
which is handy because I feel like if there were more siblings to deal with, it would be an even messier situation. But as cousins, they grew up together. They love each other. They also kind of hate each other at the same time.
Absolutely.
And they don't get the same powers. So
Mm.
the Moko powers, so Mokos were healers in West Africa, and Mokos had the power of being able to heal. They did protection kinds of spells, and they could also they were seers, right? So they could like see into the past, see into the future. And because the aggregate of all of three of those powers were too powerful, as those Moko powers pass down through the generation, they split into three. So one of the cousins has the power of healing, one
Mm.
cousin has the power of protection, one cousin has the power of seeing. So then, in addition to their varied, personalities, which very much come out over the course of the story, they're all three of them dealing with their different powers, and then they're also kind of jockeying about kind of like, well, whose power is more effective? Like, do you have a good enough power to really help right now? Maybe you should sit this one out. So there's like this cousin dynamic that is intertwined with the magical dynamic of them figuring out what their powers are. And then it's like, oh, wait, like, what are you going to do? Um, like see people to like help? Like, what are you gonna see stuff? What are you gonna do?
Like the
So there's a lot of that going on as they are, trying to figure it out. Like, and even though they're cousins and they're close, they don't know how to like work as a team at all. So that's a thing that they have to figure out. And so yeah, there's a lot of the dynamics definitely are very much like this over the course of the story because there's a lot for them to figure out, and all three of them have very like big personalities.
educators, this is another great question you can ask, your students or your group. Uh, could you and your family, found family, chosen family, blood family, uh, be heroes together? Could you work together to be heroes? Because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. All right. If, my cousins or, my brothers or whoever, one of us was a seer, one of us was a healer, one of us had protection, there would be so many little digs, little jibes, little roasts, little insults, like, "Oh, you're a seer, but you didn't see that coming, huh?" Just Oh, I got you. All right. Couldn't see your way out of that relationship. I understand. Oh, you're sick. Now you need some healing. But you were talking about I couldn't do anything on the battlefield, but now you got a little cold and you want me to help you. No, take some Tylenol, cold and flu, and sit there for 24 hours. The little jabs would be so like they would the people who we would be saving would think we hated each other. We would be talking to each other more than actually helping those others. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
love that family dynamic in the book. Uh, I love the cover.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna try and hold up the
Wait,
book.
hold on. I'll
Can
do
you
it.
get it?
I'll do it.
Okay. The cousin in the middle
Yeah.
is holding something.
Oh yeah, there it
It's
is.
very intriguing, very, very interesting. Can you tell us what that is without giving any spoilers?
Okay, so among the things that happen with the cousins, so the first of all, the cousins don't at the beginning of the story know that a lot of the people in the Caribbean community have these magical powers that they have inherited from ancestors and in that have come from the African continent, right? What they also don't know is that when there is an abundance of magic that's happening in the air, sometimes it sort of coalesces into these creatures called a mass. And anybody who has ever been to any kind of carnival, parade, festival, fete, you can feel that magic in the air. It's practically like you could practically touch it, right? And that's what I was thinking about when I created this creature. So it's like all the extra stuff that's like flying around the air, the bits of costumes, the excitement, the exuberance, the total pure joy, all kind of coalesces into these creatures called a mass. And they typically don't last very long. Like they're there, they're like super excited, they're like, "Ah," and then like they disappear. And then the cousins discover one of them. And then it weirdly does not behave like one of the typical mass creatures. And so then they have to deal with that on top of everything else that is happening. Now they have to deal with these other extra things that sort of come up in the course of them just like being magical and doing their magical stuff. So it's not just, oh, there's this whatever it is that's like sucking up people's magic. Oh, people have magic. What is that? And then now there are these little creatures. It's a lot for them to deal with. And so yeah, there is Misty on the cover holding one of these masks in her hands. It's pretty cute though, right? Like
It is
I think like Frank did
amazing.
a really good job making that creature look pretty cute.
Shout out to Frank Morrison who
Yeah.
did the cover artwork and Akeem Roberts who did the cover design because as soon as I saw this, I
I
was like, I
mean,
love this cover. I want this like framed on my wall.
it's so good. It's so good. Like in the back, like just seeing all of the people like enjoying Carnival in the back, all the costumes, the
Hmm.
flags, like, they have the Trinidad flag, of course. But there's also the Jamaican flag. I think there might be a Barbados flag in there too somewhere. But yeah, I mean,
We need the full spread
we need the
as
entire Caribbean. Yeah.
exactly. Um, as someone you've written a book about magic that is inherited, passed down from the ancestors. I have Jax Freeman, which is a book about a kid who can summon power from the ancestors. Um, what is it like designing that magic system for all the future writers out there who want to write a fantasy book, a magic book? We're talking about world building and magic systems. Was there anything special that went into your writing the inherited magic or in the generally about Moko magic?
I was looking specifically at how we've kind of typically ignored the magic that has come out of the African continent, for the most part, because in my first sort of magical series, the Jumbies, I'm dealing really with these Caribbean creatures. And one of the things that I was thinking about a lot is how a lot of what we know about magical systems and magical persons and personalities in the Caribbean have come from Africa. They were
Hmm.
brought over when people were enslaved and forcibly brought into the Americas. And so I really wanted to look at what was happening in various African countries on, you know, down the coast of West Africa, where people were being snatched up from. Like, what were the things that they had there? And from that, once I started discovering African fairies and trolls and all of the various kinds of creatures that come out of West Africa, then I started like thinking about how those creatures would then operate together if they have now been pulled out of their different places and brought together, because they were not intended, all of them, to sort of interact. If colonizers had left us all alone, like none of these magical creatures really would have had to interact. But now that they have been brought, into the Americas, now they do have to interact with each other. What does that look like?
And
So
just like,
so there's a lot
yeah.
of research that goes into looking at what has come before, but then taking that and extrapolating it and then inventing how they would come together now, just because of how history has, you know, at this point they have been migrated, and they
Hmm.
have been migrated and tossed together. Like, how does that work? So I had to come up with basically ideas for them to sort of create a community of like expat creatures, really. It's basically what it is, that now have to interact and deal with each other. So I was looking specifically at what each of those creatures can do and
Hmm.
how that would look now. Um, you know, you know, hundreds of years later, like what that would look like now. How would that have evolved? How would they have evolved together? How would they have made a community? So you're really taking all of the information and then trying to extrapolate it and bring it all the way into the present.
Almost like you just had to invent like a cryptid magical version of Brooklyn, of New York, just
Yep,
a melting pot of fantasy, pretty
that is
much.
that is correct.
That is awesome. Well, Tracey, I am incredibly excited about what the futures hold. Like, what are you, as a shameless plug for Freedom Fire, what are you most excited about as you take Moko Magic out into the world this August? What day?
Oh, I I remember, I want to say this thing.
Tracey, we talked about this. Oh, see, now I got to go back behind. Yes, it's
Wait, hold on.
August
Maybe it's
6th.
six.
August 6th.
It
It's
is the
August
sixth.
6th. Yes. Come on, Tracey. What are you excited about taking Moko Magic out into the world, into schools and into neighborhoods on August 6th?
Actually, the thing that I'm sort of mostly excited about is being able to bring Carnival with me, and just having like a lot of fun with kids and introducing like the music, and then introducing kids to the idea of all of these different kinds of magics, and having kids kind of play with those magic and see what they come up with. Like, I do a lot of improv when I go into schools, and so kids come up on the stage with me and they get to act stuff out. And that's always the most exciting stuff. But this time we're going to be doing it with calypso music playing in the background. So that's going to be fire
All
for
right.
real.
Librarians, teachers, educators, you heard it here first. Tracey is bringing Carnival to a school, a library, a function near you. Let the music, let the party begin. Thank you so much, Tracey, for hanging out with me and chatting. Thank you to all the librarians and educators who joined us today. Don't forget, coming up next, we have the last two sessions of the day. Brave Hearts and Ink and Imagination. Tracey, any final farewells for you?
I just want to say thank you to all of the teachers and librarians for everything that you do, especially in these very challenging times. Stay strong. Authors are with you all the way.
Thanks, everybody. Freedom Fire coming to a library and a store near you soon. I'm working on the tagline. Right now, I'm thinking we're gonna spark a change, or we're gonna spark some new readers somewhere around there.
I like that. I like it. I like it.
All right. Bye, everybody.